Okay, this is the November 6th planning board meeting. Have to remember my dates. When you retire, you tend to forget them all. November 6th, 2023 land use meeting, and we'll start off with the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Pursuant to the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by postings on the bulletin board in the entrance hall of the Beach Haven Municipal Building and mailing the same to the Beach Haven Times and the Asbury Park Press. This meeting is a judicial proceeding. Any questions or comments must be limited to issues that are relevant to what the board may legally consider in reaching a decision for each individual application. Decorum appropriate to a judicial hearing must be maintained at all times. We have roll call, Ms. Eddles. Mrs. Lenhard,
Yes, here.
Mr. Balbo,
Here.
Mr. Tanquist,
Here.
Mr. Stevens,
Here.
Mr. Jenna,
Here.
Mayor Davis, Mr. Medal,
Here.
Mrs. Ballmiller, here, Mr. Lafredo,
He's coming
Mr.
late.
Wagner. Okay. Mr. Wagner, Ms. King,
Here.
Mr. Halpern.
Here.
Okay,
Okay, I assume we don't have any announcements to make. So we'll start with old business. Okay, and that's the redevelopment plan amendment for block 166.02, lot 3, and block 170, lot 2. Okay, and I guess Emily's going to handle that.
Good evening. Emily Givens, Redevelopment Council for the Borough. As Mr. Stevens mentioned, we're here this evening to do an administrative review of the proposed redevelopment plan for the blocks and lots 166.02 Lot 3 and Block 170 Lot 2. This is an amendment to the plan that was adopted previously for these blocks and lots as the projects have changed. The planning board's role this evening is to do a master plan consistency review. So Mr. Little and I will be going through the points of the plan to establish for you that the plan itself is substantially consistent with the goals and objectives of the borough's master plan. If members of the board have any questions or comments with regard to the standards that are being included in the plan, you can make those comments. If the board feels as a whole that recommendations should be made back to mayor and council with regard to the standards that are set forth in the plan, that can certainly be done and incorporated into your report back to mayor and council regarding the master plan consistency. However, the main goal of this body this evening is to determine whether or not the goals and objectives of your master plan are being furthered through this redevelopment plan. And if you could please, Ms. LeBeau, would you swear Mr. Little in so that his testimony can be part of the record?
I do solemnly swear affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Mr. Little, could you please explain to the board the basic parameters of the plan that they have before them for consideration this evening?
Yeah, we did a redevelopment amendment consisting of a number of pages, but basically we have two properties, the old gas station, which was Brennan, we have Foster's Market. The original plan included development of both sites with residential and commercial. The amendment is such that the Foster's property will remain as is and continue in whatever whatever would come of that property in terms of leaving it pretty much the way it is, and it would have to comply with any of the current ordinances. The Brennan site is going to have commercial on the first floor, and I believe 4 residential units on the second floor. This plan that the Borough Council reviewed for adoption gave certain waivers or I guess technically variances from some of the ordinance requirements. I can go through them briefly. Again, there's commercial on the first floor, but there won't be a loading zone. The impervious coverage is going to be 95.3%, with 38.7% of that comprised of porous pavers. In lieu of the 10-foot buffer, a 6-foot vinyl fence is going to be provided on block 170 along the common property line with a residential district or use. The driveway access width shall be 29.2. There won't be any access off of Long Beach Boulevard. It will be off of Fifth Street. So that driveway will access the parking for the residential units. The residential parking requirements are 2 parking stalls for each residential unit, which will be off-street in the parking lot behind the building. There's not going to be any on-site parking for commercial. Parking stalls are going to be dimensioned at 9 by 18. Building height for a mixed use is not going to exceed 38 foot. And then there's allowable square footage of the residential units. The total of all residential units within the block shall not exceed a total of 7,220 square feet. So divide that by 4, and that'll give you the square footage of the units. And then the commercial is not going to exceed 1,822 square feet on the first floor. In terms of our master plan, we permit mixed-use buildings. We encourage them specifically through redevelopment, as noted in the land use section of the borough's master plan. 2 of the land use objectives made part of the master plan introduction section promote redevelopment, including a statement to create policies and strategies that implement the borough's vision for historic preservation and revitalization to meet the demand of the current and future populations, as well as statement to promote and encourage revitalization of deteriorated and vacant properties within the business district. And the redevelopment plan for this project incorporates those features. The borough looked at this and made a determination they wanted to move this forward. And at this point, it's before you for consideration or comment.
And there are 2 other points that I'd like to mention with regard to the standards that are incorporated within the proposed plan amendment. The first is the standards that Mr. Little referenced are for block 170 lot 2, which is the old Brennan's gas station lot. That is considered an overlay zoning, which means that in order for any developer to utilize that zoning, they have to enter into an agreement with Borough Council. And in that agreement, there will be certain other requirements that are contractual between the borough and the developer, such as architectural details and things that, and other conditions that this board, under the municipal land use law, would not be able to impose as conditions. However, the Borough Council will be able to do that. So unless and until a redevelopment agreement is entered into with a developer, this board will not see an application pursuant to the MLUL. Once that agreement is signed and authorized by council, then and only then are they permitted to come to this board. But this board will do a full site plan review under the standards that are set forth in this plan. Anything that's not changed in this plan that doesn't contradict your underlying zoning is also applicable to the review. So Frank has a little bit of work to do when an application comes in to make sure it's compliant with both this and your underlying zoning requirements. With regard to the Foster site, that is going to be superseding zoning, meaning that it replaces the existing zoning and only those uses that are in this plan are going to be permissible going forward. And that includes removing the ability to construct residential at this particular location. The only permitted uses going forward are going to be those that are currently in effect: farmer's market, market with delicatessen under restaurant that may be dine-in or takeout, or a combination thereof, seasonal outdoor sales of produce, outdoor seating for delicatessen and/or restaurant, all commercial uses consistent with the business district zoning district. And for the second floor, a maximum of 2 residential dwelling units, provided they can be accommodated within the existing structure. But that is the only residential. If this building were to be torn down, single family or duplex residential would not be permitted to be constructed without a use variance. And this board doesn't have authority under this redevelopment plan to grant a use variance. Any applicant would have to go back to mayor and council for a change in this particular zoning. And I did want the board to understand that it is superseding. It is not, it will not require a redevelopment agreement. An applicant who wants to come before the board with something to utilize that space, perhaps outdoor seating, add stairs, things like that, they will have to come to this board and submit their site plan application pursuant to this, but that will not be a requirement that they have a redevelopment agreement. So, and then one of the goals of the master plan is to ensure that the business district stays vibrant. And this is one of the ways to accomplish that, to ensure that this superseding zoning maintains that commercial use at that corner.
I don't have anything else to add unless there's questions.
Questions from the board?
Any questions from anybody?
I have one question. If either the Brennan property or the Foster's property comes before us with an affordable housing plan, is that at a later point in time?
So if they were to come with something that would require affordable housing, that overlay, that affordable housing overlay is separate from this. It is unlikely that we will see that, but that would only occur on the Brennan side because the superseding zoning for Foster's is not permitting the structure to be torn down or for more than 2 units in that structure. So that would not trigger an affordable housing obligation at that site. With regard to the other site, in the event that a plan was changed and more units were proposed so that the square footage of the units got smaller and there were 5 units, that would trigger an affordable housing obligation. But as it stands right now, the concept plan that we've been provided with and that we've provided in the plan shows only 4 units. That does not trigger an affordable housing obligation to construct the unit. There is an affordable housing obligation under the borough ordinances, and that's a payment, but that is not to construct the units.
Okay.
So the Foster's location is going to stay substantially the same, or is there going to be a renovation, major renovation, minor change
So
of
I
footprint?
understand that the structure itself is going to remain the same size. If there are any, if one discussion was potentially adding stairs on the outside of the structure to go to the second floor, adding outdoor seating, those types of things are going to require site plan review by the board. So you will see and evaluate and ensure that the ingress and egress from the site is appropriate and that setbacks are appropriate with regard to those uses. And I do believe that parking along the side of on the lot is required for the use. It will not be shifted to the street. It will be still on the lot, I believe, the
Right.
same way that Foster's operated previously.
Has the property been sold? The Foster property been sold?
I do not believe that they've gone to closing, but I cannot be sure.
'Cause, I mean, my concern is how can we make that guarantee that that property moving forward will have a potential buyer? It could possibly stay vacant for 2 years and then another person comes back, or the current owner comes back and says, I tried, but now I need to change the plan. I'm going to come back to council. How can we be sure that that property, which you would like to say commercial, will in fact stay commercial if nothing has been closed on that property?
So we have been working with the current owner of both lots, and the potential buyer of the Foster's project and the potential operator of the Foster's project. There is no guarantee, but this is the best we've gotten to ensure that that corner stays a commercial enterprise and stays more akin to the Foster's. Even if they close, there's no guarantee that it could operate. It all depends on,
Right, I
you
understand.
know, a lot of circumstances that are out of the control of the borough.
With no guarantee for me, I just want the board to understand that the Brennan's property is getting a substantial amount of density. There's no affordable housing units there. So the density that's been given would be similar to if an affordable housing unit was going to be in there, but it's not. That property would be under our current zoning, which be one residential per 5,000 square feet. And they're asking for 4 residential on 8,000 square feet, 4 1,800 square foot units. So just be reminded that in the master plan, nowhere does it say that we should be giving density variances, height variances, and parking variances, and the borough is not guaranteed something. Just keep that in mind.
And I just want to reiterate that a redevelopment agreement is going to be required between the borough and that developer. That has not yet been fully negotiated, and the borough is in control of when that gets executed. And if that concern that Ms. Baumiller has expressed with regard to the commercial lot across the street not being closed on prior to that redevelopment agreement getting executed, I'm certain that we can have that discussion with council to ensure that one doesn't happen without the other.
Okay, yeah, can we, to expedite the Foster's property being redeveloped, can we require that to be developed before the other property?
So this board, no, you cannot do that. Council can in their negotiations. We are not requiring a redevelopment agreement with whoever is going to come in and operate on the Foster's lot, which means that as soon as they close and this plan is adopted, they can come back to the board with any kind of application that they need. They don't have to wait. With regard to the Brennan's property, that property owner developer cannot come back to this board unless and until they have a redevelopment agreement in hand in order for them to utilize the zoning that's set forth in this plan. So if that makes sense. I believe that the new Foster's operator is in a better position to begin sooner than the other developer.
As a follow-up to that, can we require that the Foster's property doesn't stay vacant for a period of time?
So this board, again, cannot do that. That is through Borough Council. And one of the requests that has been made by Borough Council through negotiations is to address that concern. Because nothing has been fully negotiated, I am not at liberty to share those details because everything is still in negotiation. But that is a concern that council itself had.
But we can not agree with the density on the Brennan property or stage the density on the Brennan property, make recommendation to that. I know we can't.
You are permitted definitely to make recommendations back to mayor and council with regard to the standards and the content in the plan. The role of the board in this administrative review is to determine whether or not the plan is substantially consistent with the borough's master plan. Is it consistent with the goals and objectives, and does it further those goals and objectives? And if you agree that it does, you can still make recommendations back to mayor and council with recommendations on how you'd like to see, or if you'd like to see any changes. If density is a change you'd like to see, you can certainly make that recommendation. Mayor and council do not have to accept that recommendation. And even if this board were to determine that they felt that the plan itself was not consistent with the borough master plan, the council can still adopt the redevelopment plan as it is written with a statement that it is adopting despite the inconsistency and set forth its reasons on the record.
What is the density of the Foster's property?
The density at the Foster's property, for the residential units, it's limited to 2 residential units above the existing commercial structure. I don't know what that density works out to. Do you, Frank?
It's 1 unit per roughly 4,000 square feet. Because I mean, I think the lot's about 8,000.
Frank, I guess where I was going was if you took both properties, would we meet the density requirements per zoning if you combine both properties?
No, you wouldn't, because it's 1 per 5,000 without the redevelopment agreement. The overlay zone allows you a much higher number, but you're providing affordable units in the overlay zone when you get a higher density.
And
In this case, the package looks like we want to keep Foster's. And in order to keep Foster's, we're giving something over on Brennan's.
But at the same token, you have to ensure that Foster's is going to happen. So how do you protect?
There's no
But it's not
guarantee.
us to protect
Yeah,
it.
there's no guarantee of it.
We can only
But-
make comment to density.
But again, I think you're restricting Foster's if they can't knock it down and just build a house there.
Correct. Yeah, that
So it still
option is
has to
being
stay
removed,
commercial.
so it would stay commercial. In the event that they were not able to continue, they'd have to go back to mayor and council with regard to that particular impediment to progressing. The goal is to maintain the commercial character of your business district. And the feedback that was received when the larger project from Mr. Pagnotta was presented was that they really wanted to save Foster's. And this was the way, the compromise to be able to do that and not have simply residential on both lots, whether it's the density that you're looking at or simply duplexes on both lots.
Any other comments or questions before we open it to the public?
And just this is an administrative review by the board. You certainly may open it up to the public for public comment, but it is not a requirement because it is not an application for development. It is an administrative review by the board. So it's your prerogative. It's true.
Okay. So I guess there's no need to open it to the public. Pardon? Should? Okay. Okay, I hear a motion to open it to the public.
Motion, Tom.
Second?
Second, Jerry.
Okay. Any comments from the public?
Okay, if anybody on Zoom would like to make a comment, if you can just use the raise your hand button, I will press to unmute you.
I wasn't here for the first part of this, so I don't know enough about it.
Okay. This is the amendment to the plan. She doesn't have to have been here for the first, but she's on the board.
Mhm.
And I think she can abstain.
Anyone else?
I think
want?
Nancy. and some-
Are you letting me speak?
Yes.
I mean, I was sure didn't know where to interject this, but as a member of council, I really support this. And the reason I do is because one of my things that I'd like to see is to maintain a business district in Beach Haven, at least in particularly in that area. And we're starting to lose businesses, and this looks like a very a business that could be very profitable and benefit the town. The only way we could negotiate with this was to give some extra density to the Brennan property in order to have the Foster's property made into a possible farmer's market in Delhi. So initially we were looking at 2 affordable housing units between the 2 properties and increased density in both properties. Now we're looking at increased density in the Brennan property, but not so much in the Foster's property, with just 2 residential units and a commercial area. To me, it's worth the increased density of Brennan's to keep a business district in town. It's getting harder and harder to do that. And it makes Beach Haven special and unique in the fact that we do have a business district. And I know there's possibility somebody else could buy it, but this has been going on for a few years now. And we finally have the possibility of something happening and getting these properties developed properly with commercial. And that's my feeling, that the majority of council felt that way as well.
Okay,
Motion to close the public.
Oh, I think we might have one more. Hold on 1 second. Jay Drew's iPad. Did you have a comment? Okay, I think we're okay.
okay, do I hear a motion to close the public portion?
Motion to close.
And a second,
Second, Jamie.
are there any other comments?
So we don't have any kind of preliminary sketch or anything like that of what this property, I didn't see anything.
Yeah, the
Nothing came through.
regional-
All I got was Frank's letter of
Hello,
what the,
So
can I make a comment? Yeah, okay.
no, we already closed.
The public portion has been closed.
No more comments?
No.
That's correct.
Attached to the redevelopment plan, there are two
Yeah,
sections of concept plans.
no, I did not see it. That didn't go through with my reason. Matter of fact, I even went to the borough site, to try to find it.
Did no one see these?
No, wasn't it,
On
it
the
was
board,
emailed
no
by.
one saw these.
No, I saw,
So
I
no
saw,
one has seen.
no, I saw the concept documents.
So this
Um,
is the Brennan's. The commercial first floor and the residential above. I've certainly done a presentation before mayoral council a number of times. And everything was emailed, the plan was emailed.
Be my guest.
Yeah, no, I don't know why you, I mean, it was one document, so.
Yeah, the one document I have just has the redevelopment plan, the changes to it, that's it. And when I went to the web page with it on it, it's not there either. Yeah, I'm not blaming, I'm just,
Look, I saw the concept document at the end of the redevelopment.
do you know what the height is? What's?
38.
38, so 3 feet over. Can we put it up or
The,
doesn't matter?
the height of the building was initially proposed at 35 feet. It is 38 feet from what I understand because of architectural review committee comments that were received by the developer to change the architecture. The increase in height was to accommodate their requests on the type of roof.
Facade,
Yes,
mainly the facade.
the facade, yeah, changes, so.
It was on my copy. It was what Gina said.
Looking for it.
Well,
Is there any other comments from the board members? And if not, does somebody want to make a motion or
just-
some suggestions?
I'd say Jamie Belleville wants to just echo what Jamie Baumiller said. I hope that we could link these projects so that Brennan can happen independent of Foster's. Brennan's density is a pretty big give. Height variances. We were saying we want to keep a commercial downtown, but we're about to rule on what I would call CASAs. And now you've got, there's a lot of change going on there. And it just seems like if we really want to have this commercial downtown, we want Foster's to say Foster's. Hopefully the council, whoever has to negotiate that, can put some teeth to it, to make sure that Foster's stays, so Brennan's doesn't proceed without it.
Well, again, the requirement to have a redevelopment agreement is there for the overlay for the Brennan site. That will not move forward under this redevelopment plan unless and until an agreement with Borough Council has been reached. Part of that agreement is ensuring the continued use of fosters as fosters. And so we don't have any final documents yet. So there's not 100%, that I can share with anyone. However, that is the intention. That is how we have been proceeding with this project all along. And whoever comes in to purchase the Foster site is going to be able to move forward without the need for a redevelopment agreement. So that process should be quicker and a little bit easier for that developer.
Well, Jimmy, I think in our resolution or suggestion, acknowledging, we can make that suggestion that we have a concern.
And this is just to be clear that the project on the Brennan site is a mixed use project with commercial on the first floor.
Okay.
So there will be commercial on that corner as well.
Thanks.
But again, what we're voting on is master plan consistency. So you need to vote whether or not you feel that this redevelopment plan is consistent with the borough's master plan. If giving parking variances, increase in height, and increase of density, a substantial increase in density for residential 1,800 square foot units. Think of your house. My house is 1,800 square feet. So you have to think of, the density on an 8,000 square foot lot. If that's consistent with how you read the master plan, that's how you read the master plan. I do not read the master plan as giving increase in density, height, and parking in Beach Haven, where everybody wants a piece of Beach Haven. So with no guarantee that Foster's is going to stay Foster's. So that's how I feel.
And I would just ask that you consider the testimony of your planner, the master plan goals and objectives that have been provided to you, that Mr. Little has pointed out, that are contained within the redevelopment plan amendment itself, that it is substantially less than what was permitted there under the prior redevelopment plan for the sites. And if you have any other questions with regard to the points of the master plan, it's a comprehensive, long document. You certainly are not going to be 100% compliant because there are internal inconsistencies in every borough's master plan. So I just would like you to consider everything that you've heard, Ms. Spaldmiller's opinion, your own opinions, that of your professional in making your decision and your recommendations back to council.
Mary Davis, did you like to comment?
Yes, I would. I just in regard to the situation with the master plan, the master plan does address commercial in Beach Haven and a viable commercial area. So, I mean, you have to make a decision based on, so many different things, and you can't follow all the time every aspect of the master plan. I think we've worked very hard to come to some sort of agreement to get this area moving and under development and keeping commercial. And that's just my comment. I strongly support this.
Would anybody like to make a? I guess technically it's a resolution we're going to pass. Resolution with any comments or additions to it?
Just to clarify something, so are you asking for our approval tonight that the Foster site will remain as Foster's and there will be 2 residential units above it, and that the Brennan site will have 4 commercial units and 4 residential units? Is that what's being asked of us tonight?
It's 2 commercial and 4 residential for the Brennan site.
But I'm sorry, say that one more time, please.
2 commercial and 4 residential for the
Okay.
Brennan site. And it is those are the proposed concept plans that are attached to the redevelopment plan. Based off of the redevelopment plan, those are those would be compliant with the redevelopment plan, those concepts that you have attached. And this evening is for the board to determine whether or not that this plan that would allow those is substantially consistent with the borough's master plan.
In my opinion, as Mayor Davis alluded to, I think it's important that we try to do all we can to keep Fosters as Fosters. And because of that, and because of the need of maintaining our business district, a business district, and because of the need for, which in the concept, it may be a cafe, the need for restaurants in our business district, I would support this plan.
Four residential units on the Brennan sites, it seems excessive to me. That's just a general comment I'll make.
Does the board feel that they would like to make a recommendation back to mayor and council with regard to density?
The question of density, is it a question of sequencing to
Density.
ensure?
Density.
Are we concerned with sequencing to make sure that Foster's is developed?
No, I understand, the relationship there and what we're trying to accomplish. It's just that the size of that Brennan property, where the density is going to increase, I think tremendously on that site with what's being proposed.
You can make a motion.
Can I say something?
A recommendation is part of the motion.
Lauren?
Yes, go ahead, Bonnie.
Or Bonnie?
I've listened to all this and I have to support council. Sure, the density, the parking, the height is not perfect. But if I don't know what you're going to do, because the man has to make a certain amount of money developing Beach Haven. And in my estimation, it's more important that we keep Foster's and not have it become a duplex, which it could become tomorrow. Even though you're nervous about an agreement with Foster's, why would anybody go ahead and buy Foster's before they knew what they could do there in this town? So they're probably waiting for approval from us so they can go ahead. I support it. It supports, as far as I'm concerned, the master plan with mixed use and redevelopment of vacant properties. And those properties have been vacant for years. So it's, it's not a perfect scenario with our variances, but I don't know what else you're going to do. I've thought about this every which way, and people have been trying. They came to us years ago and wanted to put two duplexes there, and the board turned them down because they didn't like a driveway entering on Beach Avenue, on Bay Avenue. So it remains vacant. So I'm in support of this. That's all I have to say.
Bonnie, would you like to make a motion for a resolution?
If you want me to, yes, I'll make a motion to approve this resolution for the redevelopment plan for the two properties.
With no additional comments, I assume.
No, I don't have any additional problems. I have faith in council that they will do what they feel is best for the town. I know there's a lot of negativity out there, but I mean, it's time people start supporting your council. They work very hard to come up with something that will work. And it's not easy. It's not easy. And redevelopment, every single project has been a hassle in this town, but at least we're keeping the town alive. We've got to keep business. People need to realize if you don't have business, you don't have a town.
Do I have a second for the motion?
I'll second.
Okay, I guess. Roll call.
Okay, Mayor Davis,
Yes. Do you hear me? Yes.
Yep.
yes.
Okay.
Mr. Meadow,
The idea of the density really concerns me, but if we made it just so that it was 3 units instead of 4, you just have bigger units with the same amount of density anyway. As long as, I guess, everything's built to code, it'll be safe for the people that are there, yes.
Mrs. Ballmiller,
No,
Mrs. Lenhart,
Yes,
Mr. Stevens,
Yes.
Mr. Jenna,
Taking into account the Foster site, I'm going to vote yes.
Mr. Tinquist,
Yes.
Mr. Bobo,
Yes.
and Ms. King.
I'd like to abstain.
Okay, resolution approved.
Thank you.
Okay, the next order of business is the escrow returns. I guess everybody's had a chance to look at that. Do I hear a motion to approve the escrow returns?
Motion, Tom.
Second,
Jerry, second.
we have to do a roll call on this. correct?
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Escrow return approved.
Okay, the approval of the minutes, October 2nd, 2023. Everybody's had a chance to read them. Any comments on the minutes? Any additions, deletions? Do I hear a motion for approval of the minutes?
So moved.
Thank you.
Try to give somebody else a chance.
Do I hear a second?
Anyone looking to go? Second, Tom.
Okay, I guess.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes approved.
Okay, the approval of the bills. Everybody's had a chance to look at all the bills. Hearing no comments, do I hear a motion for approval of the paying the bills?
Motion to approve.
Second, Jamie.
Yep, second.
Okay,
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, any opposed? Bills approved.
okay. Now, getting on to the public hearings, we're gonna have a little change of order here. We're gonna do the application 2023-12 Campbell Levy LLC 210 North Bay Avenue, block 152, lots 4 and 5. We're gonna do that one first. And I'll let you take it over. I guess I can read what the subscript here is. The applicant is seeking a preliminary and final subdivision approval for 5 single-family lots. The 6 lot conforms with substantial benefit variances requested for proposed lot frontage of 48.32 feet for 1 lot and 48.33 for 4 lots, when the minimum required lot frontage is 50 feet.
Thank you. Good evening. James Raven on behalf of the applicant, Gamma Levy LLC. So this subject property is located at 210 North Bay Avenue. It's currently developed with the Silver Sun Mall. And what the applicant is proposing is a 6-lot subdivision in this area where there would be 5 residential single-family lots that front on 3rd Street. And then the corner lot at the corner of 3rd Street and Bay Avenue would be developed with a mixed-use building. We'll be back at a later date with the site plan for that particular lot. It's the intention of the applicant to make that site plan application conforming with respect to the impervious coverage, which we'll discuss tonight. But that will come soon. The plans are still in the works. But with respect to the residential subcomponent of the subdivision, as I stated, there's 5 proposed lots. Each lot is slightly undersized with respect to the width only. And we're seeking variance with respect to the lot widths, but the balance of the development will conform to the zoning ordinance. James Brzezowski is here to provide testimony with regard to the subdivision plan. And I also have Robert Levy, if there's any questions of the applicant regarding the application. At this time, I'll call Jim Brzezowski. Just to clarify, we are requesting a variance for impervious coverage on the mixed use lot, which Mr. Brzezowski will discuss. I apologize if I was confusing on that. Okay.
Yes, I do. James Brzezowski, I'm a licensed professional engineer and professional planner in the state of New Jersey, and an employee at Horn Tyson and Yoder, whose address is 8510 Long Beach Boulevard, Long Beach Township, New Jersey.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Brzezowski, you prepared the major subdivision plan that was presented before the board this evening?
Yes.
And if you could describe for the board what the site is currently developed with and what we're proposing?
Yeah, the property is located to the southwest of the intersection of Third Street and Bay Avenue. The property has 93 foot of frontage on Bay Avenue and roughly 330 feet of frontage on Third Street. And it's currently developed with a large commercial building and a parking lot to the west of the building, where the impervious coverage of the existing site is about 99%. And what we're seeking to do is knock down the building, tear up all the pavement, and subdivide the property to create 5 residential, single-family residential lots and 1 mixed-use commercial lot at the intersection of Bay Avenue and Third Street, where the commercial lot we're proposing will have 93 foot of frontage on Bay Avenue, 87 foot of frontage on Third Street, and have a lot area of 8,091 square feet. Each of the 5 residential lots, as we go from east to west on Third Street, have a frontage of 48.33 foot, where 50 foot is the minimum requirement. So we're seeking a variance to deviate from the standard of 50 foot by about 20 inches. Each lot is well over the 5,000 square foot minimum requirement. The smallest lots that we're creating are 5,823 square feet, where 5,000 is the minimum required. As far as residential density, if Beach Haven for a subdivision wants 1 lot for every 5,000 square feet, which is roughly 8.71 units per acre. What we're providing in the residential portion is 7.31 units per acre. So we're providing less density, even though the frontage is 20 inches short of each lot. So we think this is a good application as far as the residential component is concerned. We are seeking a variance to permit 88.5% impervious coverage on the commercial property. We came to that. We realized that in Beach Haven, the building is considered impervious, obviously, as well as the parking area. To comply with the 60% impervious limit would mean, basically we can't use 40% of the property. We can't develop 40% of the property. So the 88.5% impervious that we're seeking is basically the entire lot, except for the 10-foot buffer, which we're going to provide along the west property line between the commercial and the residential. When we come back for site plan approval, that I think that 88.5 number is going to be reduced a little bit, but just to be on the safe side, we figure we'd come up and put our cards on the table and say, in order to develop this property properly with a building and a parking area, we're going to seek a variance for the 88.5%. As I mentioned before, the entire site is currently impervious, just about 99%. If each of the 5 residential lots is maxed out on impervious, that's 60%, and this site is developed at 88.5%, we're still reducing the overall site coverage to 66.1%. So we think it's a good application as far as we're reducing the overall site from 99 to 66.1 with the allowance of the 88.5% impervious on the commercial.
Would it be more appropriate to wait until you come in with site plan to ask for that relief?
It is in some aspects, yes, in some aspects, no.
I'm just thinking if we'll see a clearer picture of what your intention is. You know, right now you're asking for a blank check in my mind.
Well, the concept we were thinking of is, and the building is going to be on the easterly side of the property, up against Long Beach Boulevard. The western portion, we're gonna have 10 foot of buffer, then we're gonna have a 20-foot drive aisle and an 18-foot parking area. So that's takes up the site. I mean, that's basically what we're looking at. Any additional impervious or pervious areas would be marginal, you know, a couple feet along the property lines.
I was just thinking it might be more appropriate to when we're in the final site.
Did you say an 18-foot parking area?
18 foot for parking stalls.
All on the street?
No, this is on the commercial lot. You pull in onto the.
I mean, I just.
Yeah. You pull in to the commercial site through the driveway that's shown, which would be on the west side of any building.
Oh, okay, because that's right.
24-foot drive aisle, then you would turn into an 18-foot deep stall, typical 9 by 18 stalls. With that, at 93 feet, I think we can get maybe 11 or so, not quite 11, 9 parking space, maybe 8 with a handicap. With that configuration.
Go ahead.
No, if you think it's more appropriate to ask for the variance, we just wanted to be able to design the site appropriately. When we come back to the board with the site plan, if the variance was already granted, we would you feel more confident in going forward with a site.
Just one comment. We have granted variances to go above 60%, but when you go above 60%, the balance is porous pavers or some kind of other permeable material. But normally we haven't granted a variance on a blank piece of property without seeing a site plan. But everything else we've looked at recently, we understand that 40% of the lot disappears. You can't really develop commercial, and we have looked at each one separately with that in mind.
And
It's kind of hard to get the 88.5% hard, you know, impervious without seeing a site plan.
Okay.
And that could be done here, Mr. Brzezowski, where anything above 60% could be done with a porous paver type material? Or is that hard to say without the plan?
No, yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay.
Still like to see them.
Which is fine too.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't sound like you're completely against it. So.
And with respect to the impervious coverage, I just wanted to clarify on your plan. Now I'm switching to the residential component. You have impervious coverage numbers listed with respect to each of those lots. The intent is not to limit the impervious coverage on those lots to those numbers. That's just reflecting what's shown on the plan. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So the idea is that each residential lot would not exceed 60%.
Because these are, the width of the lots is substandard, we thought it appropriate to show that we can develop each property with a house that doesn't require variances for setbacks, building coverage, impervious coverage. So we show these basically a model house on each of the properties, calculated to build the impervious coverage based on where we can park cars with these the houses that are shown. We don't want to be locked into building these specific houses, but we will build houses that are compliant with the zoning standards, the setbacks, the height, the base flood elevation, and impervious coverage. Impervious coverage on each of these sites will not exceed 60%. But the number shown just reflects what's shown on the map today.
And with respect to the residential subdivision, you feel that based upon the square footage that we have, the fact that the widths are slightly undersized, do not impair the intent and purpose of the zone plan and zoning ordinance?
No, they don't.
And that's partially, as you noted before, because the density is compliant with the master plan?
Yes. Yes, that and the width that we're seeking is the 20 inches less than what the standard is. Driving down the road, you're not going to be able to notice a 48.3 foot lot versus a 50-foot lot.
And did you want to address the comments in Mr. Little's letter?
Sure.
I guess we've addressed the size of the area of the proposed lots. If you could address number 2, the parking.
We're as shown on the plan, we're going to provide adequate parking. I think each of these houses required 3 parking spaces, so we show 3 parking spaces on each of the properties. Doesn't mean that when it comes time to build a house, a smaller house won't go there, but
Said no developer ever.
what's that?
Said no developer ever, a smaller house.
Right. But the intent is to comply with all the off-street parking requirements.
And how will the proposed development impact the current on-street parking?
There is current on-street parking. I think we're gonna restripe a little bit to, in some areas, eliminate some parking, in some areas, add some parking. I think the overall net was a reduction of, I want to say 7 on-street parking spaces. Removing 5, removing 3, removing 4. 8, 12, 13. Adding 3, 13, 10. So maybe it's 10. Reducing by 10 on-street parking to provide 15 off-street parking on the residentials, plus up to 8 on the commercial.
Any questions so far?
How much parking do you propose that you're going to need for the mixed-use building?
8.
So how do you know that? I mean,
It's just
a guess.
because that's how many we can provide,
Do
so.
you have enough room for parking for your commercial space is what I'm asking.
I believe
Your
so.
Commercial and residential. Because
What's-
if you're doing a mixed use, you're gonna come back with, 4 units on top there and.
No.
and, I mean.
No, I think it was
2 units is what's going to be proposed. 2 residential units.
residential?
Yeah, with commercial below. We're not sure yet if it's going to be 1 or 2 commercial on the bottom, but that's the plan as of right now.
So your parking will be on site.
It'll be,
Correct.
it'll be on site.
Thank you.
So what will be the impact on the parking between what is there now versus what's being proposed?
Well, as far as, I don't know what the current building requires for parking. But as far as on-street parking, I know that we're reducing the on-street parking by 10 to provide, as I said, 15 plus 8 off-street parking. So that, I don't know how many off-street spaces are in that. It's not a very big parking lot behind the building.
But it's certainly bigger than 18 foot feet.
It's bigger than what now?
The amount that you were saying that commercial building is going to have, which was which said it was 18.
No, it's 24 feet plus 18 feet behind the proposed commercial building. So the That number is 36, 38.
Yeah, I had a problem seeing that on this because it doesn't say anything about the building. It just looks like the square is going to, you're cutting off the back half of the building and subdividing the rest of the lots. That's what I was curious about.
No, the whole existing building's going. Entire building's going, all new, everything on the whole property is gonna be brand new.
We don't know what's going there. It's just,
The architects are working on the site, the plan for the commercial. I think they even emailed it to me today. I didn't get a chance to look at it.
It's a
So,
really big leap of faith we're going to take, right? That's what you're proposing? Giant leap of faith?
as far as what?
No, the lot itself is conforming. So the lot we're proposing to subdivide, the commercial lot, is a conforming lot. We're not seeking any variances for the lot itself. The site plan, it should be here within the next couple of months.
So I'm looking at Google Maps and I'm counting about 23 parking spaces in that back lot.
That's what I just counted.
How many?
23. So you got 15 and 8.
So Frank, you're saying it's about the
About
same?
Yeah. You're given 3 for each unit and 8, a minimum of 8, you're at 23, so. Without taking any on-site parking away. But you are taking on-site parking away.
Trying to see where the on-street parking is because theoretically, there is no on-street parking where the parking lot is.
Right, that's true.
So there's
True,
not,
so you-
that's not drawn correctly.
Yeah, that's not, yeah, you're right. There isn't any in front of the parking lot and they're showing it on the plan, correct. So you're not losing as many on-street parking spaces as the plan shows because the parking lot takes up at least 2 lots in the back.
So I'm confused, Frank. Is it the same then?
Well, this on-site's the same, but you are losing some on the street because you have driveways to carry the spaces to the residential units. So you are losing some on-street parking.
Is that?
I have a question.
I think it's 10.
Can I speak? Can
Yeah,
you
go
hear-
ahead.
When you tear that building down, there's a common wall with the business next door, the lobster place. The new building will not be attached to the lobster place, correct? I'm assuming.
Yeah, I don't think that's the intent, right?
There's now a door into that building from the lobster place. You can go in the lobster place, get a lobster sandwich and take a right and go into it. So what happens with all that?
I think the lobster place gets torn down, doesn't it?
So
That's part
the
of the-
lobster place is part of the building. So the only thing that's going to be left is Mr. Peeler's
It's the pizza
original
place.
building.
Oh, really? They're, after they put in all that time, they made it so nice, huh?
Yeah,
Oh, I didn't
Everything
know
left.
it included the lobster place.
yeah. The only thing left is Mr. Peeler's building, from what I can tell.
Yeah.
Now,
Will that be attached?
Yeah.
no,
Yeah, they don't have to move her.
I doubt it.
Right.
Okay, that's all.
I don't think they're attached today, those 2
Aren't they
buildings.
attached?
I think there's a small gap between them.
I believe they are attached, Peeler's building and this building, but the intent is not to connect them with the new building. I just discussed with the applicant.
Okay,
Yeah, the lobster place is in his building.
That's correct. It's,
Okay.
right.
That's what I thought. All right.
Wait, get to the back.
This is Nancy. Can I say something?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, in regard to the parking, you're providing parking for all the residential houses, and you're greatly reducing the size of the store. So you don't, that big parking lot in the back, you don't need that much parking. I mean, that was parking for that huge store. So you're reducing, you will lose parking spots on the street, on Third Street, because of the driveways, and you're providing some parking on the business site, correct? And then you'll have off-street parking in front of the business site. Should be enough. Is that making any sense?
Well, the intent of what we're presenting is that we're going to meet the off-street parking requirements.
Okay. For
And
the
just to
commercial
clarify, I
site.
spoke to my, I'm sorry, I just spoke to my client again. Mr. Brzezowski was correct. The Peeler building is not currently connected to the existing building. There is a space between those buildings, which will, and there will remain a space between the buildings.
One for Jim. Anyway,
But just one more quick thing, you are gonna, I guess, amend your building coverage on the bottom of your zoning schedule to show 35% building coverage for each lot, because right now you have a different.
yeah, right now it's based on the buildings that are shown on each
Yeah,
lot.
so, but I mean, as far as the subdivision, you're gonna show a maximum of
Yeah,
35.
Right. And 60 for each for the impervious.
I can add a note, 42% shown, less than or equal to 60%.
Right.
Yeah, I could do that. And
They're all
curbs
all
is-
gonna be single family residential.
yes. And curbs and sidewalks will be replaced and provided along the frontage, and if it's required to bring the streetscape along Third Street, along the frontage of the commercial, we'll do that as well.
Is the proposed mixed-use building going to be 3 stories with the retail on the bottom and then 2 stories of residential?
Yeah, 2 stories. Just 2 stories. One story of commercial, 1 story of residential.
Okay, you're going through the letter.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
all. That's all I got. Yeah,
Did you mention the streetscape that will continue? Okay.
we hit on that real briefly.
What's that?
Yeah, we hit that.
Yeah, the streetscape's gonna carry around the corner in front of the commercial property.
Right.
I think everything else we're gonna see when the site plan comes in as far as the building detail, and that'll be a separate application.
Right.
I have a simple question. What was behind the decision to convert the building into 5 residential units and 1 commercial versus having more of a commercial presence on the side of the building? Was there a reason for that, or?
We could ask the applicant, if you'd like to ask the applicant.
Sure, I didn't know what in terms of community benefit, I didn't know what the reasoning was.
Sure, they're all permitted uses within the zone, and actually, multifamily and 2-family are permitted as well. 4 duplexes could actually be put in the area where we're proposing the 5 residential, but the applicant, I don't want to speak for the applicant, but my understanding is felt that single-family development would be much better suited for the neighborhood than duplexes, but
Okay.
Please raise your right hand. You solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give before this board is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Can you please state your name and address for the record?
Robert Levy, 24 Ridge Road, West Long Branch.
Actually, why don't you step to that mic?
So as far as commercial on Third Street, it's a big challenge to draw customers down there. It's the main drag, the boulevard is where the commercial business is. The value of retail on Third Street is pretty low. That's where the decision was made.
And Mr. Levy, the applicant is Gamma Levy LLC, and you're a member of that LLC?
Yes.
And how long has that LLC owned the property?
23 years.
Okay. Any other questions of the applicant?
Will you be changing your address from Long Branch to Beach Haven?
I don't think I could afford it.
Pick one of those houses.
Any questions of the engineer or the applicant? I hear no more questions. We can open it to the public. I hear a motion to open it to the public.
Can I just say one more thing? The proposed mixed-use building is approximately between 2,800 square feet of retail, as opposed to the 26,000 that's currently there now. And we were proposing, the plans call for, I believe it's approximately 1,000 square foot of two-bedroom apartments upstairs. The rest of the footprint was just for in between the two apartments for a storage area for the shop below. We're hoping to have either one large shop or divide it into two approximately 1,300 or 1,400 square foot stores.
Thank you, Mr. Levy.
Do I hear a motion to open it to the public?
Motion open to public, Tom.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay. Any,
Please raise your right hand. You solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give before this board is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
State your name and address for the record.
Adam Elder, I'll use the fire company, 100 South Bay Ave, Beach Haven. I had a couple of concerns about the subdivision. I've been working with Atlantic City Electric, Exelon, and Pepco Holdings with the property right next door that's adjacent to it, the lithium ion battery substation. I have a lot of concerns, especially with that building as it stands, because of the hazardous materials, the event that could potentially come to Beach Haven if it catches on fire. I've been working with them to see what we could do to mitigate any of those hazards. What we would do as far as our response, since we don't do any hazmat. The only people that do is in Berkeley, 45 minutes away. So I've had many meetings with them throughout the year. We've talked about trainings, the meters that we need for detecting any kinds of gas if it does catch on fire, the plan, how it would work, just to let you guys, so you're aware. If there is a fire in that building, we will not be notified. They will notify their remote location, Mays Landing, and they will have a trouble person come out. If they determine that there is fire and that they need the fire department, then they will dispatch us. That may take a lot of time. We don't know. The concerns I have with the subdivision is when we talk about fire and explosive plan, because the lithium ion batteries, and I'll try to dumb this down real quick. I don't want to take all night with this, but if the lithium ion batteries go through a thermal runaway, what's going to happen is they're going to give off hydrogen gas. And then they're going to heat up. At some point, they're going to reach auto ignition temperature, and then it's going to spread to the next cell, and so on and so forth. The problem is that one of the byproducts of the lithium ion catching on fire is it produces hydrogen fluoride, which is super poisonous, super toxic, super deadly. That is the hazardous material that we would be dealing with if it catches on fire. Well, there's no guarantee that it will, but I don't live in a world of, sunshine. I live in the world of worst possible scenario. If we add water to that, the problem with lithium ion is it's a chemical fire, it's a chemical reaction. Water is not going to put that fire out. It's going to cool it down, it could slow it, but it's not going to put that fire out. And even if we do get it out, it could be 48 hours, it can combust again. But the problem is with the hydrogen fluoride is that when water is introduced, it turns into hydrofluoric acid, and then it now gets into the groundwater and everything. The hydrogen fluoride getting into the air as it's burning would present a problem to the surrounding areas. But more importantly, if the clean agent that's released immediately doesn't stop it, and the event goes on longer than the batteries that are in there that are used to evacuate all the gas stops, it's going to build up all that hydrogen and eventually explode. Now, I've been working with them to try to get an explosive plan, a fire plan, so that we can, again, attack this the best way possible in the event that something does happen. I haven't gotten anything in writing. We have had a training with them. The training that they provided told us that our job is to not do anything. It's the polar opposite of what we're trained to do. If we put water on it, it's going to take a lot longer. It's better for it to burn. The problem is that now there's going to be residents around that. So we'd have to do either shelter in place or evacuation. We don't have any kind of plan for that. I'm not saying that this is going to immediately affect the residents that will be there, but I don't know if we're talking a potential 150-foot hot zone around that, if that means that you would need further setbacks. It's questions that I'm still trying to get answers for. Myself and OEM have been trying to get add this to our hazard annex so that we know how to attack this. So my suggestion is just for right now, until we have some of these answers, if you guys can table this for a month until we can reach out, I can reach out again to Pepco and find out if there's anything that would need to be, because right now it's commercial. There's not really much that would happen as it stands today. But if anything happened with these new projects, those are questions I can't answer without, asking the questions from the proper authority. So that's the only thing I'm suggesting. I just have some concerns with that as far as public safety goes. As far as getting trucks in there for those properties themselves, with that driveway, we would be able to get a ladder, and if we need to, with the use of the electric company's parking lot, we would be able to get a ladder. And so I don't really have any concerns as far as building those structures. My concerns about the neighboring property that's there. So that's it. Thank you. Do you guys have anything for me?
Yeah, I'd like to make one little comment. I guess probably the most appropriate time for what you're saying here is when we had the application with Atlantic City Electric before us. And my understanding is the fire marshal, I'm not sure, gets to comment on all applications. It's really an independent from ours, so you can still make your comment, but should that not have happened in Atlantic City Electric?
So here's the rub. A lot of the stuff that goes on with that property, it's going to be different. It's not necessarily going to be inspected and zoned and everything, and has to follow the same rules as far as fire code, because they're just adding lithium ion to the code now. It's not in the fire code. NFPA 855 was just changed this year. It was first adopted in 2020. It was full of holes, so now they're trying to patch up some of those holes and they're readopting that standard. That's some of the issues that goes with this project. The utility company can pretty much do whatever they want. They don't necessarily have to follow NEC code because they are the supplier, not the end user.
They do. They're coming before us,
So when they came before us, one of the questions I asked of them is that it will follow all the fire subcodes so that everybody was safe. And when they said yes, they knew they weren't lying to us, because there was no subcodes for that particular type of site, because it's one of the first few in New Jersey. We just found that out a little late.
Yeah, that's how we've been finding out a lot of this information is because it's now after the fact. So I believe the only thing that they're required is to follow the building code of 2015. And there's nothing about lithium ion in that.
We're just starting to really see how in New York City is suffering a lot from the little lithium ion batteries.
The
and all the fires
scooters,
that
the
they're-
e-bikes, all that stuff, because they're being charged in basements, they can't put the fires out and they're under high rises. It's costing a lot of lives right now, so. Anything else? Okay. Thank you.
You go ahead, Ms. Sharkey.
Just change his name.
You solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give before this board is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Can you just state your name and
James Vogel, 528 Dock Road. With all due respect to the fire chief, it seems to me there's already residential surrounding that property to a good point. And if the wind were out of the west, then you'd have thousands of people on Bay Avenue affected. So as far as relation to this application, I think that's a moot point. Other than that, it looks like a nice application to me. We're going to improve the looks of Bay Avenue by a shot. You are not asking for any parking on site. I understand that the commercial property will probably be above the impervious coverage that we like, but the overall property is going to drop from 90% to 60-some%, which is a major improvement. I don't see anything wrong with this project. I think it's a good application. Thank you.
you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give before this board is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Name and address?
Sue Sharkey, 10 North Delaware Avenue. Chief, we all appreciate your work and diligence, and you do deal in the absolute worst case scenario. I hope I'm the sunshine that he referred to. What I am feeling about this whole discussion is compared to the last application, this one sounds really good. I certainly appreciate the LLC's efforts not to overbuild. I sat here and wondered with the previous application if 1,000-foot properties would sell in Beach Haven. What a great use of space without overbuilding. And I have no idea about the lithium battery, but maybe it would make us all feel better if we gave their 3rd Street frontage setbacks a little bit more, lessen that value, just get them away from the batteries. But thank you.
Anything else you can comment from public? Okay, Mr. Kraft?
Not that tall. Deb Whitcraft, 528 Dock Road. I've looked, yes, I do. I've looked at these plans before tonight, and I've lived here forever. I remember when that huge building that Robert Levy has been operating for over almost 25 years. I learned how to scuba dive in that building. Rennie Kosev was my instructor. And I think I asked Bob the same question that, John, I think you asked him why. I mean, he has a huge building there, but the business is not supported in a place that size anymore. There's not enough business for a huge structure like that. And I think, and I agree with his intent to keep the business part of that property on Bay Avenue with apartments over top, and to have 5 single-family homes in an area that is primarily residential anyway. And like I said, I've looked at those plans. I understand the chief's concern about something that Mr. Levy has absolutely nothing to do with, nor do any of the other residents or business owners have to do with, a property that perhaps has an issue with lithium ion batteries or whatever. So to punish a property owner for another property's possible hazard to the public is just unfair. And I personally think that this plan will only help to beautify Beach Haven and will be a big improvement. So I hope you'll consider that. Thank you.
Yeah, hi, my name is Bill Hudson. I own Lurie's Island Inn Motel, Beach Haven Inlet. I do. Whereas Lurie's Motel sends 2,000 or more guests up to Beach Haven every year, that's why I come in to testify for these things. Because our guests come up to shop, to eat, go to the stores, go to the restaurants, everything else. But I think this is really a leap of faith. Number one, we're losing about 10 off-street parking spaces, and we can't afford to lose any off-street parking spaces. We're looking to have more off-street parking spaces, number one. Number two, 3 cars per 5 units. Houses is 15 more cars in town, and we don't certainly need more cars in town. Already our guests are having trouble parking here, finding spaces, and to eliminate off-street parking spaces are not good. Then we go to the next thing. Everybody's searching for employees, whereas I agree with the commercial in the front and the 2 apartments on top will hopefully get some employees for these businesses that are all hurting for business. But to put 5 houses in, we don't really need 5 more houses in Beach Haven. What we need is more employee housing. Maybe condos would be better for the back part of this property, where we could get more employees that could maybe volunteer for the fire company, maybe volunteer for the rescue squads, maybe could work in some of the stores. So there's many reasons why I think this needs to be looked at and adjusted a little bit to make it a viable plan, because the parking is an issue, more cars in town's an issue, and not having more space for employees. Thank you for your time.
Do we have any other public comments? Would anybody on Zoom like to make a comment? You can raise your hand or use the raise your hand button. I do not see anybody on Zoom.
One of our board members is raising her hand.
Oh, okay. Kathy King?
Yes, I'm sorry, I live on that street.
Public, wait, Kathy, just
She's
hold
not-
on 1
yeah.
minute. Close to public.
When we close you can come back and comment some more.
We're just doing public comment right now.
Is it, anyone else in the public?
I do not see anybody else.
Okay, do I hear a motion to close the public portion?
Motion to close, Tom.
Second?
Second, Jerry.
Okay. Okay, now you can let Ms.
Okay, Ms. King, would you like to comment?
Yes, I live on that street. I have lived on that street for many years, and this is totally unworkable. There's so few parking places on that street that losing 10 will lose the majority of them. I know what's there. If it wasn't for the fact that I have a parking place on the property, I'd never be able to park on the street. The majority of the year, there is so much traffic on Delaware Avenue, and for all the businesses on Bay Avenue, this just doesn't even begin to work in reality. Go count the number of parking places there are on that street. So I think it's absurd, and I don't see any way it could work, because I live there and I know what the density is. That's just my comments for tonight.
Hey, Jim.
I can open the public back.
I mean, we're fine. I just
We're
wanted to
fine?
check, yeah.
Lot 601.
Ms. King, can you just confirm your address? Ms. King? Can you confirm your address? Are you muted? She's muted. Unmute.
She's in the corner house in the corner of,
Hello?
Yeah. Yeah, can you just confirm your address?
I don't know whether you can hear me.
You can now.
Can you confirm your address, Mrs. King, on Third Street?
I don't have any volume.
Okay.
All right, well, that's her house right there.
Yeah, we're gonna,
Okay, then just get to.
James had it. Well, she's gonna have to recluse the
Yeah,
site.
she's.
So we put her in the back of the, not in the public comment.
Oh, that's, I mean, that was before.
We okay?
The name's not on there, but,
is she the
You're okay with
homeowner?
that?
She might not be the homeowner.
it
That
doesn't,
might be
I mean,
one.
it's just. Yeah.
Okay.
Alright, so
Okay.
Yeah.
She won't be removing.
Any other comments from the board members? And Frank, I guess the only question I have is the fire marshal, fire chief, they have their own separate approval, correct?
Right.
So they're, as far as comments here, it's just a comment. They have the ability.
I would say it's a comment from the fire company.
Right.
And the facility next door has to meet all the codes,
Right.
regardless of when we're finding out about things. So, you know. Pretty much it.
Any other comments? If not, do I?
Before we go to, I would like to see a site plan. I think we're giving up too much or just approving without seeing anything.
Well, I don't think we're approving anything
On the commercial.
on the site plan, and we're not giving them a relief for impervious at this point. We're gonna wait till he comes back with a site plan.
Okay.
I mean, is that
So-
variance part of the application? Do you want to have that
You're
variance? be
amending
part of
your
the
application to
Or would you
remove the
like to-
variance for 80.5%.
Yeah, but based upon the board's comments, we won't seek a variance with respect to the mixed-use property for impervious coverage. That will be addressed at the time of site plan.
So it's just the subdivision application.
Correct.
With the variance for the lot width, for the residential lots.
Correct. And it is preliminary and final major subdivision approval. Thank you.
So anybody like to make a motion to be sure to include that comment? Don't be
I move
bashful.
to approve, I'll make a motion to approve the plan of their subdivision.
With the stipulation that they'll come,
Yes.
okay.
With a stipulation, that's not.
Well, they have to come back. for
If
any
on site
approval.
plan, they'll
Site plan.
ask for any.
Just a
relief.
site plan. We're just approving the site,
Yeah.
Just the subdivision.
Sub-
the
No, this is
subdivision.
just
It's
a
a-
subdivision.
It's a subdivision. That's it. We're approving,
That's
I would make a motion to approve the subdivision.
That's correct.
Jim, my question then would be, when they come back with the site plan, potentially we'll get a recommendation from the architectural review committee?
Yes,
Yes?
yes.
Okay.
Okay, I just want to ask one question, maybe for you, Chief. Is there any kind of building material considerations? I mean, gas is gas, but fire is fire. If this fire is going to burn exceedingly hot compared to other fires, I mean, shouldn't these residential buildings be built with other type of material, slow burning plywood or stucco or anything like that, or is it
I
just
mean,
not going to matter?
you're talking about if you want to go from a type 5 stick frame to a type 1 or type 2, non-combustible, non-flammable, and that would be steel concrete. That would be like your hospitals and schools and everything. I don't think that that's applicable here, and I don't necessarily think that anything needs to change. I'm just concerned about, I just want to get the answer from the electric company is make sure that everyone's going to be safe that's going to be living next to it. That's really my only consideration.
Do I hear that's second for that motion?
Second for that motion.
Okay. I guess we'll do a roll call.
Mayor Davis,
Yes,
Mr. Meadow,
So we approved this, we got the subdivision, but we don't have a site plan for what if we don't like the site plan and it doesn't comply with the rest of our, for the,
If you don't like the site plan, you
We
deny it.
don't-
yeah, so then we're gonna have a hole in the ground.
Yeah.
well, then they can come in with something else.
So that's,
It'll be a site plan for, I mean, a conforming or a non-conforming mixed-use development. That's, you know.
what I'm saying, that's what I was thinking, I mean, we should just have the whole site.
But we don't
plan.
have that before us right now.
But we can
only
re-
have the subdivision.
I guess we,
They have to come for a site
Right.
plan.
That's what, yeah, they have to come for a site plan,
This
so
is
that's
just
why
to
I was
divide
getting
the
back to
lots.
my leap of faith that they're gonna come back, you know what I mean?
I mean, technically, they could come back and build a duplex there
Yes,
if they
it's
wanted to.
probably
Yes.
You know,
request demolition of the building before.
they don't have enough, they have to have a 60-foot, they have to have a larger lot size. And the subdivision would have to be larger to build a duplex. The subdivision right now will only, for the 5 houses, it's
And so
only
the-
single.
The motion's been seconded, and technically, we're supposed to, yes or no.
We have to address what we have.
So. See what I'm, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I think when they do the demolition for the single families, that building's gonna be demolished. I don't think they're gonna leave it standing there. I don't think the code officials will allow that.
All right, yes.
But the subdivision is, in my mind at least, is for more than just a property subdivision. It's that there will be 5 residences, residential lots, and 1 commercial lot with 2 residential units and possibly 2
No,
commercial
we
units.
haven't agreed on any of that.
That's not, we don't have that.
That's
yet.
not before us.
right now, they're
We're just
subdividing
subdividing.
into
I
conforming
guess, so my
lots.
interest would be that I think we want to preserve that corner lot as a commercial property.
Well,
The ordinance doesn't permit that. In other words, you're looking at a subdivision that has lots that are conforming, with the exception of the residential lots that need a variance for lot frontage. That's what you're approving if you approve it. And that's it. The other lot on the corner is gonna have to come back here for a site plan unless they decide to build a residential home on it, which they're permitted to do. That lot's big enough to build a duplex on,
that it's mixed
truthfully.
use, but they're not bound to that
Right.
as
Okay.
part of this application.
Our master plan doesn't restrict business properties from being developed residentially on their own.
Okay, I think technically we need to do a roll call. We should.
Right,
Our
we have a
discussion
motion and a
time's over.
second. Okay, so let's do a roll call. Okay, so we have Mrs. Davis as a yes, Mr. Meadow,
Leap of faith, yes.
Ms. Ball Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Lenhard,
Yes,
Mr. Stevens,
Yes,
Mr. Jenna,
Yes,
Mr. Tankquist,
Yes.
Mr. Balbo,
Yes.
and Mr. Halpin.
I could vote?
Yes,
Oh, yes.
application approved.
Thank you.
okay, our next application is application 2023-14 Dockford Clause, 506 Center Street, block 142, lot 4. Applicant is seeking permanent outdoor seating approval for the existing amount and size of the outdoor seating. And my only comment I'll say is, everyone remembers, when we approved this 2 years ago, we really wanted to do a trial basis and to ensure that the neighbors were happy with how it was going. So that's why I think the applicant's back here, he'd like to do it permanently now.
Yes, which I understand because we're a new business. You wanted to see how we operate and everything like that. Gotcha.
Go ahead.
I just hope to go from yeah, sorry.
You just raise your right hand. You solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give before this board is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes,
Can you please state your name and address for the record?
Kevin Ketchel, 329 Fifth Street, Beach Haven. Yeah, I just would, I understand my trial with the temporary outdoor seating. And I just want to keep complying and get the permanent outdoor seating. No changes to anything with it. Just be able to operate as we have been.
Okay, any questions for the applicant, anybody?
How is the neighbors? Did they have any issues at all that you're aware of or willing to tell us?
No, I have a good relationship with the neighbors. The bike rack was always an issue with the business before me, and then I built a bike rack on the driveway side. So all the bikes are coming to the driveway now. I'm really cool with them. The guy in the back, who like tried to fight against it the last time, he's been fine with it. I don't think there's any issue really.
Yeah, that was the one I was concerned with because I
Yeah.
know he was very vocal.
Walter, I think, yeah, I haven't seen any or heard anything from him yet.
As a segue to that, have you had any complaints with music?
No, because I don't play music outside. I just have it inside. And then the outdoor seating stops at, last seating's 8:30 and then 9 o'clock, everybody's inside. So
That's going to continue this.
that's the same thing, exactly.
And outside, how many seats will you have? Or do you have now and what will you have?
I'm just gonna
Outdoor
keep,
seating.
yeah, I'm gonna keep the same thing. You guys approved me for 4 picnic tables in the driveway. I actually went with 3 because it was too clustered and I don't want to overload my kitchen. So we have 3 there and then I have 1 2-top and a 6-top out front. So I'm just gonna keep it exactly the same and no music or anything.
Any other comments?
No, I
Question?
think Mr. Ketchel runs an excellent business. I've been there many times. It's clean.
Thanks.
I have no complaints, and I think that he should continue to have his outdoor seating as is.
I'd like to, this is Nancy, I'd like to agree with Jamie. I've been there many times and I think he runs a wonderful business. I've never heard a complaint from anybody around there about it being noisy or annoying. And I think he's proven that he can do a great job.
I would agree with that. I think we should all try to do as best we can to facilitate and encourage outdoor dining in this town.
I agree, and I was there and I used my cell phone and didn't get yelled at like I did from the prior owner. So that was a big plus. I was calling you to say come to dinner. Good afternoon.
I can do it next time if you want. It makes you more comfortable.
Okay, at this time, do I hear a motion open to the public?
Motion to open the public.
Second,
Second.
we have a second?
Jamie, second.
Second, okay. I guess,
Does anybody in public have a comment?
we must have made them all happy.
One on Zoom,
Uh-oh.
everybody here. Mr. Lambert,
Good evening, everybody. Jim Lambert,
Lambert,
516 North Atlantic, Beach Haven.
Can you just raise
I
your
also
hand?
am a frequent
Lambert.
patron at Mr. Ketchel's
Can you
business.
not
I
hear
think
me? Can you just
Hello?
raise your right hand? Hi,
We gotta swear you in.
I
Jim.
swear you in. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give before this board is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, continue.
Do I need to state my address again?
No, you're okay.
Okay. I just want to say that Mr. Ketchel runs a great business. And I think his business could be the model. If you look at the ratio of what the CT has indoor compared to the CT has outdoor, that could be the model for other businesses on Center Street and throughout Beach Haven. Thank you.
Would anybody else on Zoom like to comment?
Okay, do I hear a motion to close the public portion?
Motion to close, Tom.
Second, Jamie.
Okay, any comments before we take a vote? Let's keep the comments now before we start making motions. Any comments? Do I hear a motion then?
Make a motion that we approve Mr. Kitchell's.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, you got it?
I got it, thank you. Mayor Davis,
Yes,
Mr. Meadow,
Yes.
Mrs. Ballmiller,
Yes.
Mrs. Glenhart,
Yes.
Mr. Stevens,
Yes.
Mr. Jenna,
Yes.
Mr. Tinquist,
Yes.
Mr. Bobo,
Yes.
and Ms. King.
Yes.
Application approved.
All right, thank you. Cheers.
Okay, do I hear a motion to close the meeting?
Motion to close, Tom.
Second,
Second, Jerry.
consider us adjourned.
Nice.
Good job, Jim.
Good job, Jim. Nice. Bonnie.